Yo, what's going on, everybody? This is Dylan Talk Sports. My name is Dylan. In today's video, with the Cleveland Browns being at the bye week, I thought I'd do a quick little breakdown of kind of how the season has went, and I wanted to talk about the positives, the negatives, and then there is a specific topic I want to get into. Throughout the year, different people, players are going to be interviewed all the time, coaches are going to be interviewed all the time, but when it comes to the front office people, the owners, they kind of periodically get interviewed, but not that often. We recently got our kind of like a monthly interview with Andrew Berry, the general manager, and he said some details that they weren't exactly the details we want to hear. He wanted to talk about stuff about like trust us, trust the process. It's gonna come. You're gonna want to be here when it happens. And all I'm seeing from Browns fans all over Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, every social media out there is, when is this gonna be? Because if it's gonna be 5, 10, 15 years from now until we get a title, call me when it happens, because I can't suffer through this. But overall, in this video, we're just going to basically discuss everything that's happened in these first 4 weeks, kind of what can happen, and is this season, or does the season have the possibility of a championship in line for it? So without further ado, if you stay tuned for the entirety of this video and you want to go ahead and drop a like if you enjoyed, feel free to do so. But without further ado, let's get into it. So basically what I did, I kind of went through Twitter, kind of figuring out what are the Browns fans talking about, what kind of things are going wrong with this organization, what kind of things could be the possibilities of what is kind of stirring up drama within the whole front office, the teams, the locker room, coaching staff, etc. And I'm going to kind of go through and answer all these questions. Could these things be what's causing the drama? And yes or no, and if not, we can eliminate that. And if it's a yes, I'm going to kind of go into it and kind of say, what exactly is there that's causing drama there, and how do we kind of just cancel it? So number one, is Kevin Stefanski and Deshaun Watson, do they have some sort of like drama or they don't really get along well, is what people think is going on. And what I mean by that is, people have seen on the sideline where it seems like there's times where Deshaun is trying to do certain plays, Kevin's calling these like just simple basic plays, and Deshaun, he's wanting the big shots, he's wanting big jumbo. He wants to go for some crazy cool plays. And we've seen Kevin Stefanski run these plays, these like option, flea flicker, jet reverse type plays. And Deshaun likes that kind of stuff. Earlier on in the year, we saw with Nick Chubb in the game, whenever he was on the field, Deshaun, he likes to run the ball. Every quarterback likes a running back that you can just hand it off, let them go do the work. But I don't think Deshaun is kind of a fan of that simple hand the ball off, run the ball about 20, 25 times a game. He wants to be the star. He wants to, he wants to throw the ball. And we've seen throughout the offseason, and we've even seen now with Nick Chubb not being out there, that game against the Tennessee Titans. Yes, the Tennessee Titans defense is not what it used to be, but they're still a good defense. But we see now with Deshaun Watson, Kevin Stefanski and Deshaun Watson, they're able to kind of feed off of each other, figure out what each other likes to do. They can take that stuff and they can run with it. Now, yes, the game against the Baltimore Ravens, that looked bad, obviously with Dorian Thompson-Robinson out there. Not the prettiest of games, but we saw with the play designs, what they were trying to do. If Deshaun Watson was out there, the plays would have probably worked a little bit better. So when it comes to there being drama between Kevin Stefanski and Deshaun Watson, cancel it. I don't see drama being there. I have seen reports saying there could be drama, but all I see there is just rumors being spread to cause a wildfire. Next point that kind of feeds off of if there is drama between Kevin Stefanski and Deshaun Watson is Kevin Stefanski is not really telling the truth to us a lot of times when it comes to Deshaun Watson. Like the game against the Baltimore Ravens, Deshaun Watson, he was hurt kind of throughout the week. We saw Deshaun Watson possibly not going to be able to play, but he kept on saying very adamantly, I'm going to play, I'm going to play. Saturday night, they ask him, are you going to play? He says, I feel like I can play. I'm going to go. I'm going to go. He goes out there on the field. He's warming up. Shoulder's not feeling the best. He apparently says, I'm not going to go, even though the medical staff said, hey, Deshaun, you're good to go. We see nothing wrong. You can play if you want. But during the game time, we hear from Kevin Stefanski, even after the game, Kevin Stefanski says, I left it up to Deshaun Watson. He chose not to play. So now you have everybody out there talking about, is Deshaun Watson, he's getting paid all this money, he doesn't want to play? We saw Baker Mayfield go out there and play with a torn labrum. Yeah, we saw him play with a torn labrum. Look how that went. He looked like shit. But the question comes up with what happened there is, Kevin Stefanski says Deshaun Watson, he left it up to him. But then in the same sense, we're hearing kind of from Deshaun Watson that the medical staff, yes, said that he was cleared to go, but Kevin Stefanski was the one that ruled him out to not play. So then it comes into all these questions of, is Deshaun, did he say he's not going to play, and Kevin Stefanski is just reporting on that? Or is Kevin Stefanski the one that ruled him out? Which then comes into the next question of, if Kevin ruled him out, why, with 2 hours left, you have time to kind of at least come up with a few plays, pull some random plays out of the playbook, at least try and make the game plan easier for DTR. Because that game, the way it looked was like, if Deshaun Watson was out there, it might have flowed a little bit better. But with a rookie quarterback out there not understanding these things that much, it looked like a heaving pile of dog shit. Overall, with that point, it just kind of feeds into my next point of Kevin Stefanski doesn't know how to adjust to new situations. He doesn't know how to adapt when things go wrong. Nick Chubb got hurt in the Monday Night Football game. We kept on trying to run the ball, and we weren't going anywhere. It took him a whole week before he was able to actually go back into his office and figure out a new game plan. We've seen other coaches being able to adjust on the fly. This is a bad example, but last year in the NFC title game, Kyle Shanahan with the 49ers, Brock Purdy had a elbow sprain or something to tear. He couldn't play the rest of the game. We had the backup quarterback go in there. They couldn't do anything. Brock Purdy pretty much said, I can still run the ball. Kyle Shanahan was using his big brain to come up with every single type of run play he could possible to try and just get the ball moving a little bit. He got a couple first downs throughout the game through just running the ball. It feels like with Kevin Stefanski, the second Nick Chubb went down, offense was over. The second with Deshaun Watson, when he finds out he's not going to play 2 hours for the game, it's like he didn't know what to do. It just seems like Kevin Stefanski's true colors are showing that he doesn't know how to adapt. He doesn't know how to kind of adjust to new situations that are going on throughout a game, a week, etc. Pretty much he's proving to himself and everybody around him, he's not an elite coach. He's an okay coach. Maybe teetering on good coach, but he's not an elite coach. Not at all. So for the question of is Kevin Stefanski just bad at adjusting, that I will agree with. This next point is not really anything I'm going to go too far into, but I saw somebody online talking about, and even a couple other Browns fans on Twitter saying, the defense let us down in that game. They played horrible. Yes, the Browns defense did not play the best. They had I wouldn't say even a bad game. They had an off day, but look at the score, 28 points. This Browns offense, they put up 27, 24 points in their 2 games against the Bengals and the Titans against bad defenses. So this Browns offense is very capable of putting up more than 28 points, which shows this defense is at least still trying in the game. And to kind of add on the very obvious point, when our offense scores 3 points, what's the defense supposed to do? How are you supposed to hold them to 0? And even after that game happened, I believe I saw a stat where it showed our defense is still somehow rated the #1 defense in the league. Better than the Eagles, better than the 49ers somehow. So for any of you out there trying to say it's the defense's fault that we lost that game, they need to play better, how do you play any better than what they've been playing? So for the topic of the defense is letting us down, cancel that. Next up, I kind of want to discuss the offensive line for a moment, because I've seen some people talking about the offensive line, and this one I am going to kind of discuss, and I agree with a little bit. Deshaun Watson has not been having, I would say, the easiest time getting the ball out, mainly for the fact that pressure's coming off of the edges. And there's the stat right here that kind of shows their pressures, their sacks that these our offensive linemen have been giving up throughout the year. And when you kind of look through them, Joel Bitonio, Pro Bowler, no sacks, about 8 pressures. Wyatt Teller, teetering on Pro Bowler, 5 pressures, 2 sacks. Kind of not really the thing we want to see out of Wyatt, but it's okay. We got Pochik here, but I believe, had the injury. I think he is coming back. He has 5 pressures, only 1 sack. DeJuan Jones, a rookie, 8 pressures, 0 sacks. Very impressive. But then this one right here, Jed Wills, 18 pressures, 2 sacks. 18 pressures, Jed? And the part that even kind of adds on to it, if you come down here and kind of the way the Browns offensive linemen are graded throughout the year, Bitonio, Pochik, Teller, all great offensive linemen. They're going to be up there in the top 50. Jones, he's a rookie. I'm not really going to say much about him there. Wills, you've been in the league now for about, 4 years? 125th. We need a new left tackle. Overall, with the entire offensive line, it's kind of funky to look at because just a couple years ago, in 2020, whenever we went to the playoffs, we looked across the line. We had Wills, Bitonio, when J.C. Treader was still playing at the center position. Wyatt Teller was there, and then Jack Conklin. Everybody was talking about, oh my God, this Browns team is like so legit because that was basically the best offensive line they had in the NFL. The run game with Chubb and Hunt, the receivers in Landry and Beckham. Like, this team was unstoppable. The only big question was that quarterback and Baker Mayfield, was he going to be able to prove everybody that he can handle with the big boys? That story kind of explained itself, but now moving on now into the future, we look back on that offensive line, who's left? Will is still left. We don't want him anymore. Bitonio and Teller are still here. Treader retired. Pochik steps in. He's kind of filled in the void very well, if I do say so myself. And then Jack Conklin, he tore his ACL the very first week of the season, wishing him a speedy recovery. DeJuan Jones has stepped in. He's doing pretty good so far. So I will say, if this offensive line can get better, that kind of eliminates that void. A couple other things I want to talk about. First up, trades. The reason why I want to bring this up is because, like I said, with the offensive line, people have talked about maybe running backs, offensive linemen, people that are players that the Browns should possibly trade for. There was this boy out of Denver Broncos, I believe he's our left tackle. He's a good left tackle, and people have talked about him being on the trade market come the trade deadline. and the Browns have been linked to possibly going after him. So when it comes to the question of should the Browns go after him, at the right price, sure. But if it's going to be like a second or first round pick, obviously you don't have a first round pick and a second round pick. We just can't be doing that right now. Unless at that point in the trade deadline, we are like 6-2 somehow. We haven't lost a game at that point. Sure, make the trade because we have the possibility to go in the playoffs, to go far. But if we are not looking pretty and we're like 4-4, somehow bad, 3-5, what are you doing making trades? And then the other trade that we have been linked to is Jonathan Taylor, more or less because of the fact with Nick Chubb being out for the entire year, and with Nick Chubb having next year's contract being the last year of his contract, and also it being, I believe, $11 million on it with only $2 million of it guaranteed. We could cut that deal, bring in Jonathan Taylor. If we wanted to give Taylor a big contract, we could, because Taylor, I believe, is also like 4 years younger than Chubb, so we get a little bit more lifespan out of Taylor than we would with Nick Chubb. Now, I'm telling you right now, that hurt me to say that because I love Nick Chubb. I wear his Nick Chubb jersey every single game. So if we were to make that trade, I'd be ecstatic, but at the same time, it would hurt my soul. Now, the last question that everybody wants to know is if this Browns team does not even just win the division, they don't even make the playoffs as a wild card team, who's getting fired? Now, with this Browns team, if they were to not even make the playoffs, I'm not talking about just players. I'm not even talking about just coaches. Front office people could be fired. And I don't give a damn about what Andrew Berry said about in his interview where he said, trust the process. It's going to be good. You want to be here for when it happens. This team is building towards something great. If I have to hear that one more time, if I have to hear even Kevin Stefanski, oh my God. If I have to hear him say one more time, I have to be better. We have to be better. We got to do better than that. I might jump off a cliff. It just feels like whenever this whole front office team, coaching staff was put together of Stefanski, Andrew Berry, and Paul DePodesta, I think is how you say his name. Whenever those three, especially Paul, when they were all brought together, it's like they all kind of got together and had like a group saying that they're all going to say every single time they talk to the press. And it's getting on my nerves because they say the same damn things every single time, never go away from it. And it's like, can y'all just be human for once? Be humans. Talk like the way humans talk. I'm going to say this. If the Browns don't make the playoffs, Stefanski, you're gone. You got to be gone. And the reason why I do say that in a way is because if they were to not make the playoffs, this coaching staff, or not even coaching staff, the players that are on this team and the management with Andrew Berry, he's built a good team. I feel like Andrew Berry in a way is saving his job because he's putting great players on this field and he's finding ways to sign back the players. All is like a 50-50 shot of if he's going to be gone or not. Stefanski, he's the one on the hot seat. Like if he doesn't make the playoffs this year, he's obvious, like I said, he's gone. So going forward, when it comes to the whole drama of the Cleveland Browns, can they kind of get through this? I believe they can. They just need to kind of put their heads down. They need to get back to work. Obviously, the bye week is happening. They'll regroup. They'll figure it out. They'll move on. But other than that, that's all I got to discuss for today's video. As always with today's video, if you went on to stay and watch the entirety of today's video, make sure you do drop a like. It's very much appreciated if you do so. If you watch the entirety of today's video and if I missed a point or have a different opinion on kind of anything that I went on to say in this video and you want to go ahead and leave a comment down below, feel free to do so. Leave your opinion on kind of how the whole Cleveland Browns thing is going. If you are brand new to the channel and you want to go ahead and hit that big red subscribe button, feel free to do so. Trying to get to 100 subscribers. Be very nice if we could do so. And make sure you hit that little notification bell to be notified the second I post. But without further ado, this has been Dylan Talk Sports. Have a great day. Peace.